Welcome back to another night of bonding time. I'll be your host for this evening, Ramon. No, Patrick. Ramon Patrick.
Got it right the first time, but okay.
I'm Christopher. Yeah.
I'm waiting
No?
on Just John.
I'm just John.
And I'm
I'm Hutchinson, David Hutchinson.
There's gonna be one movie that we're gonna get John to do this for.
We'll get there eventually.
We'll see. Alright, guys, and we are starting out red hot. Diamonds are forever.
Diamonds are forever.
What are your thoughts of the opening sequence?
So, I'll start. The opening scene was such a throwaway because the whole point was like he was trying to catch Blofeld. But I mean, at no point did I think in the opening 5 minutes was he going to catch Blofeld and kill him. So that was it was kind of a waste of an opening scene for me. That being said, I really love this song. This is an awesome song, especially since like they're they didn't redo the song, but they had this a snippet of this song in their song. I think it was Jay-Z. Was it him?
Kanye.
Yeah,
Kanye.
no,
No,
Kanye
it's Kanye
West.
West. Kanye
Yeah.
West, right? And so like this song was awesome. I really liked the opening like graphics as well. They were really, really pretty. So I think that this was better than Doctor No for me. This wasn't like the best opening, but I ranked it pretty high, all things considering. What do you think, Chris?
yeah. I I thought the way he killed Blofeld in the opening was just a bit too exaggerated. Uh, and then especially like there was a guy. Bond was in the room. He slowly rises out of the mud pit.
That made no sense. No
Yeah,
sense.
Seriously.
it looks
No, better yet, he had the gun in the mud pit too. Like,
No, but he's fully submerged, but then Bond pours more on top of him, and somehow that kills him? He was just submerged. How can he drown him when he was submerged?
and then,
Anyway, sorry.
No, well, I mean, so for me, I don't think that was like it was just like extra emphasis. It's not supposed to make sense. Bond wasn't making any sense. Like he was just rampaging. I mean, it just like to me, it was just there to exaggerate the fact that he was angry and he just really wanted to get.
You should
Blofeld.
take this director to 4-Day Morning because then he'll think everyone's getting killed. Shit, throwing mud everywhere.
Okay.
I mean,
fair enough. Fair enough. That's a valid point. Valid point.
yeah. I mean, I guess it made a little sense following on from On Her Majesty's Secret Service that Bond is looking to get rid of Blofeld because Blofeld killed his wife. But I just couldn't take that opening scene seriously. It was just too silly the way he killed Blofeld, and but I was happy to see Sean Connery back. Like his entrance, I thought was pretty kind of cool. And I like the opening title song. I have to agree with John. Like that,
Yeah.
that's a classic Bond song right there. You know, heavy on the
Absolutely.
instruments. You know, and then a deep booming voice. Excellent. And so that's really what made the opening title credits for me, the song.
The funny thing about it though is that I was happy to see Sean back. Instantly, I was like, "Whoa, he got old!" Like that was my
Immediately.
first thought.
Immediately.
He aged a lot.
The minute that I saw him, I was just like, "Oh, he old now."
Yeah.
Or like, not even that because I guess the last Bond actually looked younger.
Hmm.
So for him to jump back in, it looked like if he aged decades. One, which he did, and two, it was like, oh, he's been through some shit. Like he just didn't seem. I don't know. There was something about this Bond that was very much like, even from the beginning, it was obvious that nobody was really interested in playing this movie. Like there were so many things about it. Like the silliness, they totally started with the silliness, and you know, it was never one self-aware, two, it never felt, I don't know, authentic or something. It was just very odd.
Mm.
What do you think, Ramon? The opening.
I think it was terrible. I mean, I guess they're going. I guess it started to become a trope where a significant person dies in the beginning. So before it was everybody's Bond's dead, Bond's dead. Now it's the big bad guy, Blofeld, and you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, is that what they were doing? They were starting with the whole starting with a funeral, starting with someone died thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
it seems that way.
I didn't
I don't
even
think
piece that
so.
together.
Yeah, I think
No, because
No,
I
but
mean,
they
On Her Majesty's Secret Service didn't really start that way. I mean, they do the ones where it's like, oh, Bond is dying, but most of the other villains that die in the opening sequence have nothing to do with the main
With
plot.
yeah, but
This is
there's
the first
always
time where you
like
But
see
I,
the main villain in the opening sequence. You've never seen that before.
but there's always a death. But it wasn't the main villain. It wasn't the
But it
main
seems to always be
villain
like
because
a
it was
death,
actually
and you're
Blofeld.
like responding to it, or it's supposedly something impactful, which
Yeah.
doesn't
No,
end
you're
up to be
very
impactful later on.
you're very right because even in Her Majesty's Secret Service, it started with a suicide attempt. So it's always like death in some way.
It's now become a trope. Diamonds Are
I
Forever
did,
though, the opening,
yeah.
ooh, I didn't like the sequence. I'm sorry. Love the song. Second in my book, right after Goldfinger, but Sobin sequence was fell flat to me. It was a little too, it was kind of cheesy.
So my thoughts before I trash on it, because I absolutely hated everything about this opening.
Wow.
Because first of all, well, all right, they were trying to frame this movie as the next Goldfinger. They brought back the director from Goldfinger. Initially, the script had the bad guy as Goldfinger's brother. They had no intention of continuing Blofeld's story or the story from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Bond doesn't. I don't get any sense in that opening scene that Bond is out for revenge for the killing of his wife. Sean Connery doesn't play it that way. The movie doesn't act it that way. His wife is never mentioned once. As an audience member, you could take it he's out there for revenge, but at the same time, you could just take it, oh, he's chasing down Blofeld from You Only Live Twice. So
if I did see Secret Service,
you wouldn't have missed a thing actually.
Yeah, so I dislike that part of it. I just the whole scene, like even Sean Connery's introduction, just seems off. I don't know what it is. It's just like the whole, and it's throughout the entire movie. And I noticed it from the first scene. It's like the whole budget. It just seemed like they spent so much money to bring Sean back. The rest of the film just suffered. The film is boring in general, and I picked that the opening sequence, even the title sequence. I love the song, but I don't even like the title sequence. Yep. Like the cat with the diamonds seems so cheap. It's not even that creative. They just put a cat with some diamonds.
I thought it was
they didn't innovate at all for me. And actually, it has me worried because Guy Hamilton did Live and Let Die, did the next two Bond movies with Roger Moore. But yeah, I didn't like the opening sequence. When Blofeld attacks Bond, it's so ridiculous. He's just this is like the difference, like how last we were talking about Blofeld actually doing stuff. Blofeld is in a room with Bond, and instead of trying to kill him, he tells his henchmen,
"You guys do it."
It's like, what the fuck? And then he picks up the knife and is like a cartoon character.
Exactly.
He's like, whoosh.
This seemed very 90s, 70s Batman. Oh. Not gonna lie. The entire movie seemed that way.
But
I don't mind Bond being campy, but from what I recall, Roger Moore's campy is okay. This is like the worst Sean Connery movie, hands down.
Clever campy, just not just campy just because.
Not even, it's not about clever campy. It just doesn't land. It's like, the important part about campy is that you have to get the audience to laugh with you. At no point was I laughing with you. At most, I'd laugh at you. And to be honest, it was just like a train wreck. It wasn't something that you particularly wanted to laugh at. It was just like, ooh, it's kind of cringy, actually. This movie is very cringy.
And to be honest, 7 movies in, you expect better from this production team. Because this isn't their first Bond movie. Like this is like a movie of someone making Bond for the first time, and
I-
I don't know if it's the budget or what, but they just messed it up.
So
Sure.
my whole problem with this movie is that I really enjoyed the last one. So it feels like two steps backwards. That's the problem. It's not that
Exactly.
it's not that it was there were pieces and things. I think that this movie just wasn't well made. There were things in here that could have been done well. It's just that they didn't do it well. I hated Blofeld. Well,
They
you
rushed
know
it.
what? Huh?
It's like they rushed it.
Not just rushed
I
it.
don't even
I
think it
think
rushed. It just seems mediocre at
you know.
Well,
best.
they
Like,
they
I
might
think-
have rushed it because so the way I understand it is Sean Connery signed. The way they got him back is they paid him a ridiculous amount of money. He was the highest paid actor for this movie. He donated a bunch to charity, but I think he basically said, "You have me for this period, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
So do what you need to do, and I'm
So
done."
So I think the whole
Mm.
problem with this movie is that nobody wanted to do this movie. And that's how it came across. It came across as nobody wanted to be there. Nobody
I
was.
don't agree with that because I know that they wanted
Yeah.
the
The producers.
I think they wanted because On Her Majesty's Secret Service bombed at the box offices, so that's why it's such a shift in tone. They wanted this to be. They were building up Diamonds Are Forever to be the next big box office hit, like Goldfinger was. So they set it in the U.S. They brought U.S. screenwriters on the team. They brought back Shirley Bassey for the Bond song that she did Goldfinger too. They brought back Sean Connery. They brought back the director from Goldfinger. So I think they were trying too hard to make it a success, and they just they were trying too hard to fit in with what they thought people wanted. And maybe it did well at the time, so maybe this is what people wanted for the time, but it doesn't age well at all.
Really doesn't.
At all.
you know what says it? That comedy bit, moving later on in the movie, but that comedy bit that guy does.
Oh gosh, that was.
I heard that was like, this was funny in some form or fashion.
I was
I don't-
like, why is this here? Why is
Yeah.
this here?
I don't know if it's
me-
because this is in Vegas, but I just felt this movie was trashy.
Oh,
Even
Oh.
Bond,
It
even
was,
Bond
though.
was trashy, which I never would associate with Bond. But I thought, some of the scenes later on with Tiffany, like the sex scene, and he's just there in bed with her and has a ashtray on his chest. It doesn't seem like Bond up until this point has been luxury. There's a certain class with Bond, and I do not feel that at all in this movie. There's no class.
I can see that.
Totally agree.
I actually liked, surprisingly, I actually thought the plot was a little bit interesting with the whole diamonds being stolen, out of a diamond mine. It actually seemed kind of realistic to me. I could actually believe something like that was happening.
I agree with that.
Yeah, right.
I agree, except the plot where they had two other main. Well, I guess they would have to be main villains because they're not. They weren't part of Blofeld's scheme. Why were they there?
I think they were. Weren't they like Blofeld? Those two guys, right? Weren't they Blofeld's henchmen?
I called them the
Were they?
Misters. I called them the Misters.
They were part of
Mr.
the plan, but it's not well.
It's not, yeah.
Not well done. It's not
So
explained at all.
I thought I agree with you, Chris. Yeah, you were saying.
Oh no, I was saying yeah. So that I actually was interested in the opening plot, but then it just dovetailed into some stupidness about powering a laser. And then I see what Ramon was saying, and what Dave was saying. Those two guys, it wasn't clear that they were
in any formation. And even when Blofeld died, we're like, are they main are they henchmen? Because he's dead. What's the point now?
So since y'all are talking about them, what do y'all think about the bad guys in this movie?
I have to say I'm gonna go with Mr. Wynn and the Misters. Yeah.
Well,
Mr.
I called
Wynn
them the
and
Misters.
Mr. Kidd.
I called them
Yeah.
Misters. Yeah.
I like them as bad guys more than I did Blofeld.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, actually, I don't mind For me, I don't mind the two. Them, I think they actually are probably one of the things I remember most about this movie. Like even the music that plays with them. So I don't mind
they
that.
got a great theme. They did have
Because
a great
like that's the kind of thing that comes later in Roger Moore, and I'm totally cool with that. But I mean, when they kill the guy with the scorpion, that's hilarious. That had me dying.
That's my
Because-
thing.
What, a scorpion kills you instantly? I didn't know that. And then the guy's exaggerated, like,
Ah!
like, oh my gosh, it was just so good. But Blofeld was absolute crap. He's supposed to be the main villain. They built him up over all these movies with Sean. I thought they did, of all the Blofelds, I think, and I mentioned this when we were talking about On Her Majesty's Secret Service, I liked On Her Majesty's Secret Service's Blofeld the best. And I think this is not only the worst Blofeld, but the worst main Bond villain thus far.
Totally
Because not only is he just so incompetent, the movie doesn't take him seriously enough. He's dressed in drag, leaving the casino. They put Blofeld in drag. I don't even think Austin Powers did that with Dr. Evil.
You're
right.
I mean, nothing against drag, but I mean, just
nothing against the actor Charles Gray, but dog, like, I don't know, man. This role was in your finest moment, dog. This Blofeld after Gray was just worthless, man. Like, I mean, at least maybe on Her Majesty's Secret Service, I mean, I could understand maybe why he didn't kill Bond outright, but here, I didn't see any point in him walking Bond around the base, explaining his plan to Bond. Nothing. I'm like, why don't you just kill Bond now? It just didn't make
no. But you raised a good point just now, Chris. The most elaborate way I've ever seen so far to kill Bond, and they weren't even killing him. Like the whole plan was knock him, gas him in the elevator, and then put him in a pipe, and then bury him underground, and then he escapes anyway. What was the fucking point? You had a gun on him. Just shoot him.
I know John has brought that up before, and I have to say this was definitely like a prime.
The worst.
This was a prime example. So, what do you think, John?
I thought that the minute that they any point where they mentioned Blofeld, brought back Blofeld, it was absolute trash. If they what they really should have done, I think that they started with a good plot, because I agree with you. The beginning of the story actually was kind of interesting. It's like he wasn't on a normal mission. It was just like Diamond's Ring, and they were trying to figure it out. And I thought that was really cool. It was actually pretty fun, especially with the misters, because to me,
Agreed.
there's no arguing. Of course, Blofeld is the main villain, but he was the worst. He's absolutely worst. Worst portrayal, worst bad guy, worst everything. Simply because nothing about what he did, someone who is supposed to be a evil genius, nothing that he did made sense. Absolutely nothing. Dressing up in drag, and like, what was the point? Because anybody who needed to know who that Blofeld was there, they freaking well knew, you know? I don't get their 12 Blofelds nonsense. Like it got to the point there. I think it was
actually, like, yeah, not gonna lie. Even I think they had Bond not told or something like that. Like, there's actually nobody else who knows what he looked like.
Yeah, there was. I think it was 3/4 of the way into the movie where I actually started to get angry, because evil genius, even every single bad guy, at least I could see where they're coming from. I had no idea where he was going with this. I did not understand what the point was. At a certain point, I was like, so what's the plan again? You're holding the world at ransom? And I only knew that because that seemed like the most obvious thing that he would do. He's always holding the world at ransom. He's always trying to like do something. But I wasn't sure how he was doing it until it was later on. I was like, oh, he's got a satellite or whatever. And of course, it's a satellite with a laser beam. And I was just like, And like this movie, Blofeld felt like a part. That's what it is, right? I just realized.
He
It's not
felt
that
like a
this
parody
movie
of
felt.
himself. Mm.
Yeah, this movie did not feel like a James Bond movie. This movie felt like a parody of a James Bond movie.
And it's
This
funny
and
because his best crime was literally identity theft. Like he failed at everything else.
seriously, dude,
It's
and
awful.
it's awful. It was so bad. The Misters were entertaining, but they were entertaining in the beginning, right? Towards the end, I was just like, seriously, y'all are just creeping me out now. It was just such.
But they
I
had
don't know.
an impact on the story. Even
They
their
did have.
behavior, they have an impact on the story, and you and your view. Blofeld was just like
There to piss me off. He was just there to piss me off. Listen, even like Bambi and Thumper, God, when they
better
were
villains.
when they showed up, right? And I didn't understand why there was this seemed to be a trend of there's always two bad guys. Like the Misters came in a pair, Bambi and Thumper came in a pair, Blofeld and his copycat came in a pair. Like it's such a weird it's such a weird thing. There was always like two Blofelds on screen, and I was like, why are you doing this? Like, this is it just felt really, really poor, and especially since they started with such an interesting story, and they just fucking lost it, and in the end, it really pissed me off when they were on the oil platform or whatever. I was like, I don't understand what's going on here. What is the purpose? So okay, so they're there because that's I guess the secret lair at this point, I guess. But they didn't actually prove that Blofeld was dead. And it was like, okay, they're on the rig. They're on the rig. We're just gonna blow it up. And that was
You know-
it. It's
you
like
know what
we're
had
gonna
me
blow
with
it
that
up and then we
scene?
just moved on.
Yeah.
Is
I was like, what?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
they had the whole thing where it's like, oh, Bond. This is the worst ending to a Bond movie too, like in terms of climax, because like the whole cassette thing didn't amount to shit because
Seriously.
he came on the oil platform in plain sight, by the way, like they literally let him on, and then Blofeld tells Bond what he's going to do. So it's like, oh, Blofeld knows what you're gonna do, Bond, but then he lets Bond do it anyway.
I
And
didn't
then
understand.
Tiffany fucks it up. And then Bond's already sent the signal, so they come and blow shit up. But
The
he never
signal.
succeeded. He never
The man-
succeeded.
The man released a balloon into the air. Like,
Actually,
are you serious?
not gonna lie. What was the point? Like,
Exactly.
if you could have just really blown up the oil rig.
Exactly. They should have just blown it up.
There
It made
is
no sense.
There's no point where anything is clear, and I understood the purpose of them doing anything. I didn't understand what Blofeld was doing. I didn't understand what James Bond was doing. It made absolutely no sense.
I actually,
And
So
also,
let's.
I actually went back to see. I was like, wait, is Blofeld dead? Because it wasn't clear to me. The last time I
Yeah.
saw his ship, I mean, I don't even know if his ship blew up, but I actually had to go back to see, like, wait, did Blofeld die? And it still wasn't even clear to me. But I guess he did.
Yeah. Did he die? No, I don't think
no,
he
he didn't
died
die.
because
He didn't die.
they just bounce it around a lot. But why would you
didn't
do
die.
that? Why would you just bounce it around and not? Why would you leave ambiguity, especially after the beginning where you were trying so hard to kill him?
In terms
Anyhow.
of the last villain getting finished off by Bond, this is the worst one. I mean, all he did was he was in a capsule and they bounced him around. Like,
Yeah, and there's the thing. Again, I
That's
feel like
true.
if that was a scene that was supposed to be funny and campy, but it completely missed the mark, and it just pissed me off.
so. Well, actually, Ramon, have you given your views on villains yet?
Oh, I did. In my view,
Yeah.
I think Mr. Win and Mr.
he said it
Kid,
was the
right?
worst.
Mr. Win and
we're
Mr.
the
Kid
best, yeah.
are
Yeah,
the
they
ball
were
to
the
this
best
one.
for sure.
What about the Sonorge?
So, in them being the best, right? What do you think? What are your final thoughts, Chris and John?
on the
About the bad guy.
Yeah. Who do you think is the bad guy in this one?
So it again, it's obvious to me Blofeld is the bad guy, but he's the worst bad guy. The henchman once again steals the show from him. But even they, towards the end, they were awful. They just sucked so hard. Worst bad guy ever. And it sucks because this is like what? How many times have we seen Blofeld so far? And this is the most to me. This is the most that he's actually been on screen and he's actually like there and just ruined it. This is why I hate Blofeld. Like they just need to.
Yeah, I think I agree. I agree with what John said.
All right. So we're also going to go into why I believe they are my favorite characters. One-liners, guys.
Oh.
Well,
I think I'm going to go last. Chris.
am I up? Is it
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I'm going to go for the most obvious one. The one I could remember. I feel like there were other ones, but the one I can remember the most. Actually, no. One of you guys go first, because I need. I think I like a note.
All right. So I'm going to go because Mr. Kid and Mr. Mr. Win, they've got the best lines.
I agree.
They
Bond
do.
did not have any good lines at all.
Bond's lines in this movie were crap.
So I'll go. So I'll say because I actually have a Bond one, and I think his best one liner is, "Your problems are all behind you," and he puts the cassette into her swimsuit. I think that was the only line that I actually remembered, and I was like, "Oh, that is kind of funny." But I like that's the best that I got. Like, yeah.
That made me chuckle, and I'll add to that one. Mine was I forget like where Bond was, but I guess I think it was like in the bedroom with one of the Bond girls, and they break in on him. With the bad guys breaking on him with guns, and he's like, "Oh, you caught me with more than my hands up."
I don't remember that line, to be honest.
I actually don't remember that one. Okay.
Yeah. No, I remember that one. That was a good one. Yeah.
Good catch, Chris. Good catch.
Nice. Once again, the like one line just fell flat, except this one for Mr. Kid and Mr. Wade when they're in the funeral home, and they they start rolling Bond into the coffin.
3 lines in one.
3 lines in one. It's like very moving, heartwarming, Mr. Wade. A glowing tribute.
It's like they're having a competition with each other on who can say the best pun. And I was like, that's great. That's fantastic.
They were the only people who were delivering good one-liners, and they were so weird that it hit.
See, this isn't even a one-liner. It just made me laugh so hard when they threw Plenty O'Toole out the window, and Bond's like, exceptionally fine shot, and the guy just looks at him dumbfounded and is like, I didn't know there was a pool down there, and it's just how he says it that actually made me laugh out loud. I guess technically it's not a one-liner, but that made me laugh.
I'll give you that. I did laugh at that. But again, right? I was just
like the goons in general were hilarious. Like we were talking bad guys, right? But those goons were so hilarious when they have him in the car and Bond is saying about his brother, and one of them just looks at him and is like, I have a brother. And Bond's like, small world. Like, I don't even know why that was a line. Why was that in the script?
But that's exactly the point, right? A lot of those things were so weird that you had to laugh because it was just so out of place all the time that it was just, this movie sucked so hard.
I have a good runner-up. When he met Plenty O'Toole, and she said her name, Bond was like, "Oh, you're named after your father, no doubt," or something like that.
Yeah. It's like, my name's Plenty O'Toole, named after your father, perhaps. Something like that. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
He did. All right. If I have to give a Bond line, I would say it's the last one when he kills Mr. Witt and he's like puts the bomb in between his leg and he says he left with his tail between his legs. That was a classic one-liner, I thought. So
was it though?
Yeah, but none of them. I mean,
the thing is though, I felt like in this movie they gave Sean lines that just didn't feel like Bond lines. Like the one where he comes out of the pipe and he's like, "Oh, I was just walking my rat and I seem to have lost my way." Like, I don't get that. Why would James Bond be walking a rat? There must be something that I'm missing because it doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I think there's a certain point where one-liners work when you're enjoying the movie. When you're not enjoying the movie, it's just like you're an idiot. You're just a fucking idiot. Shut up.
Well, that one actually that rat line that did make me chuckle. I mean, because remember he was
Maybe a little bit, yeah, because
he was following
there
the
was
rat
following in the route, yeah.
in the pipe.
Yeah, but that's still not funny.
It's
I don't
not.
know. It's
It,
like that's what James Bond has come down to. He's walking rats.
I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong. It was like corny as fuck, but it was corny as fuck. But I mean, I guess that's where I took that from. You know, the audience saw him following a rat.
Yeah,
You know, they're speaking to the rat. So
they just all missed the mark, in my opinion.
You really did.
Yeah.
This was weak in terms of lines.
yeah.
And back to the goons, not to point out inconsistency, but like once again, Bond is in that facility, and then he gets into that space buggy and knows how to operate it immediately. But when
Oh,
he's sitting in the crane at the end, and we're like, I don't know what I'm
I'm-
doing. Like,
Oh,
I'm fiddling
I'm-
around.
if we're gonna bring this space buggy scene up, oh my gosh! Dude, first of all, it's random as fuck that they have a TV set of a moon landing. What are they doing? Second of all, when they find Bond, the two astronauts that are pretending to be in space and moving slow, they tell them to stop Bond, and they try and stop Bond in character, like they're in low gravity, but they're not.
Yeah,
Like they literally try and stop him in slow motion. What?
I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was some stupid shit.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
moon buggy. All right, I'll be honest. The moon buggy scene had me crying of laughter because it was at
But
that
not in
moment
a
where I
good way.
realized
This is
that
ridiculous.
this movie
though.
was so much crap. Because Bond could have driven in a straight line, literally, and been fine. Because all of the villains' cars just fucked themselves up. They were just driving like idiots.
They were just like,
They're on, that's my thing. They're on the dune buggies, are what we're assuming are dune buggies, the all-terrain vehicles.
oh yeah.
But it was just like they were coming around the corner way too fast and just fucking up. It was like, what is this?
You literally make a sharp turn and roll over. Like it was just
And no, but there's not even that. It's like the cars were literally falling apart. Like there's a scene where the car goes and is literally just goes in a ditch and all the doors fall off.
Fall off, yeah.
And they drive straight over the booth at the beginning of the entrance. Like
And it falls.
they didn't have to.
Oh my goodness.
Like it's just so it's so bad. It's like comical. It's like watching a cartoon. I felt like between the goons, like they're all in the goon truck, and they like just if this felt like a cartoon. I was watching a cartoon. It made me laugh. I thought it was hilarious, but I was laughing at the movie. I was laughing because it was so bad. It was so bad. It was good. That one scene.
But that's the thing. This movie was so bad, but it wasn't entertaining. There are other movies that are bad, but really entertaining. This was not one of those.
Yeah. But that's the thing. So that scene, I thought I got entertainment from that scene. I got entertainment from the Bambi and Thumper scene. But that's pretty much it. Aside from that, the movie just fell completely flat. So I wasn't even entertained, like you say, John. It wasn't entertaining.
Well, what
So
about?
but
Sorry, go ahead, John.
yeah, but I mean I completely agree. It was bad, but it wasn't like B movie. Oh, I'm having a good time. B movie, just bad, man. Just like it hurt to watch this movie.
So
It wasn't like You Only Live Twice. You Only Live Twice.
Yeah.
Like that was a fun B movie.
movie.
This
Did it
didn't
well.
even know. This didn't even know that it was a bad movie. I feel rough.
It's
Yeah,
a little bit sad. So, any solace in the Bond girls now?
Dave?
I'm
Or
actually better yet. Let's start with Dave. Dave has quite some insightful comments on it so far.
Okay, so worst villain, worst Bond girl. They go
Worst
from
Bond
Diana
girl.
Rigg, which was an amazing Bond girl, and then they bring in Tiffany Case, who at the beginning starts off like she knows what she's doing. You know, Bond comes in the hotel room, pretends that like he's undercover. She takes his fingerprint. It's like, okay, all right. But she slowly, they just break her down throughout the movie. Like, she becomes more trashy, and then it's just she becomes a damsel in distress that can't do anything. And she just is a terrible Bond girl, in my opinion. Not anything to do with the actress. Like, I thought the actress was fine. I I just thought how they played the Bond girl as the damsel in distress, and they just took a complete back step, like what John said earlier, 2 steps backwards, where they had a fully developed, strong female character in a Bond movie in the last movie. And they have archetypes in previous movies that were good. But in this movie, up to this point, I think Domino is probably my favorite Bond girl. And Fiona from Thunderball was my favorite femme fatale. In terms of how traditional Bond girls, Diana Rigg is my favorite. But this is just crap. And I mean, it's epitomized by the final scene when she picks up a gun and doesn't look. She closes her eyes and shoots up in the air and falls backwards. I'm sorry.
No. But you forget the worst part. He has to tell her to pick up the gun and to shoot it. Like, she picks it up like, what am I supposed to do with this?
I know. Well, she hands it to him, I think, and he's like driving the crane, and I'm like, come on, like, obviously.
She is terrible.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think?
What do you think, Ramon? Actually,
I totally agree. At the very beginning, we were led to believe Archie is, I don't know, maybe the center or one of the cogs in the wheel of this diamond smuggling, and you're so high a diamond smuggler, and all of a sudden, anything to do with guns or anything like that, you have a fingerprint reader in your house. Like, what was she going to do if that was not him? Like, what was the response? Do you not have a weapon inside?
You made a very good point, Ramon. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Layers of awful.
It was terrible. Like, even Plenty O'Toole seemed like a more promising Bond girl, actually. Like, if she kept moving, maybe she would have been promising. But Tiffany Case just degenerated so terribly to me. What do you think, Chris? Because I want John's opinion right after.
Well,
for the finale.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you guys, man. Like, the Bond women in this movie, I thought, like, I know John had an issue with the Bond women in From Russia with Love, that they were just helpless and just didn't really add anything to the story. I thought this one topped it, like the Bond women in this movie. And like David said, not a knock against I think it was Jill St. John who played Tiffany Case. I thought her character was actually interesting in the beginning. Like
exactly.
Right. She seemed like a real intricate. I mean, what she was a cog in this diamond smuggling operation. And I was taking her serious. And then about midway through the movie, when she found out that they were trying to kill her, the people she was working for were trying to kill her, then she just turned into like this hapless Bond girl. And I have to agree with Dave. Like, this was a huge step back from, what they established with
Majesty's Secret Service, definitely.
In Her Majesty's Secret Service. Like, the Bond women in this movie were just completely helpless. I mean, Plenty O'Toole. I mean, I didn't even understand the point of her. Like, it was just, it was just so random. Bond just meeting her in the casino. Like, she was just an opportunist, just preying on rich men in the casino. I mean, she dies shortly after Bond meets her. And then there was a scene where, I don't know if you guys remember, she shows up at Tiffany Case's house, like, the next day, and she ends up dead. And when it was supposed to be Tiffany Case that was supposed to die. But that didn't make any sense to me. I was like, first of all, how did Plenty O'Toole find out where Tiffany Case lived?
So apparently there's a scene that they never shot. So apparently what happened is when Bond hooked up with Tiffany, Plenty O'Toole was in the room. And so she went looking for Tiffany, apparently.
Huh?
Yeah. Apparently there was a deleted scene. Yeah.
This movie has so many inconsistencies.
Why was she in the room? So she was
in the room waiting for Bond, so that she could seduce him.
Oh, so actually what I read was that after she got thrown in the pool, she came back to get her clothes out of the room.
Oh, okay.
I read that on IMBD. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I read. Like when she came back up, she saw Bond in the room with Tiffany, and then she took an address card out of Tiffany Case's purse, and that's how she found out Tiffany Case.
Don's face says it all.
No, once again, I would believe that because I actually did not know it was Plenty O'Toole in the pool. I just thought that was someone random.
You can believe it if the whole thing about a movie is that they have to show you everything or they have to spell it out for you. You aren't God. You can't see everything. You can't know everything. So they have to guide you along the movie, and they didn't do that. That's why this movie was so awful. It didn't guide you along and make any sense out of anything. None of it made any goddamn sense.
I just thought of a scene that completely encompasses what I think of this movie. You know when Bond is climbing the White House and he breaks in the window and goes through the chute and lands on a toilet?
That's about it.
He literally lands on a toilet.
Yeah.
And then goes to see Blofeld. That's what this movie is. They should have just flushed it down the toilet. This whole movie just put it down the toilet.
I don't know who.
Sorry, I just thought of that.
I don't know who the exec is who was like, yeah, this is fine. We'll release it. I don't know who they are because I really feel like if they were at least the slightest bit of Bond fan, they would just be like, no, we're not. This is an embarrassment. This is just really. This is not okay. This is awful.
What do you think of the Bond girl, though?
Listen, she is the absolute worst. If there is another Bond girl, who is worse than her, right? I do not know what I'm going to do. Every time this woman was on screen, it infuriated me because between her begging someone, she wasn't just a damsel in distress. She was fucking annoying. Like, between her begging someone to help her and to, like, what's the word? To, like, wipe her slate clean because, she was a bad guy. And she's, like, constantly asking for someone to help her. She was so, that's the reason. I think that I've said it before. The way that I scale the Bond girl is how competent are you, right? This girl was so incompetent. She was so absolutely worthless. She literally hindered the storyline. She literally was like, it would have been more helpful at a certain point if he had just murdered her or just like tied her up in a room and been like, okay, you stay there and stop fucking my shit up. She was so bad. It really got to me. That whole them being on the rig thing, her presence annoyed me so much. And the other thing that I didn't understand is why is she always in a goddamn swimsuit? Why
there we go.
Always
why are you sunbathing on a rig? Like
why? Oh my god!
The man tells you to put on some clothes and come inside, and you put on what?
She put on arms on a swimsuit.
Yeah.
I genuinely, wow, did she annoy the crap out of me? Like, I really wish that somebody had murdered her at some point. And the look on his face when he switched the cassette and then she switched the cassette and the look on his face, I was just like, y'all need to stop.
You stupid twit, you switched it back.
Well, you know what? And I hate to say this, I actually, because that actually pissed me off too. I was like, what the fuck would you switch the cassette back? But then I was like, you know what? It wasn't really very clear.
No, he wasn't. To be fair, he wasn't.
No. To be fair,
the cassette back to her. Like, why would you do that? Because I could actually see how that could confuse somebody. Like, why didn't you just keep the cassette for yourself? So I actually might give her a little break there because Bond was that was not smart. I don't know.
I get your point, right? But again, there's a story, and I feel like the only purpose for the writers was to piss me off. Is to genuinely upset my soul the entire goddamn movie. And you know what? And the worst part is, if it were up to me, Bambi and Thumper would be the goddamn Bond girls because at least they were entertaining. At least they were entertaining, and they were the worst. Like their fighting style was just absolutely absurd. But like
it was hilarious.
But I loved that because that was an actual gymnast and a dancer, and I actually thought it was really fun watching them try and fight Bond, and they were completely destroying him. The only thing I thought that was disappointing was that as soon as they get in the pool, all of a sudden Bond can just, I don't know,
Yeah, hold down
overpower
both of
them?
them at the same time. Seriously, it
Like they were
ridiculous,
destroying
right?
him, which was hilarious.
But I would prefer, and because if we're judging by competence, both of the actual Bond girls were completely incompetent. Bambi and Thumper would have to get it for me. Seriously,
Fair
like
enough.
at least they were marginally competent. And oh my god, when she found out the satellite being crusted in diamonds, I mean, like, how one track mind can you be?
How do we
She was
get
like,
it that down?
I was just like, die. Just like I wish that satellite would just fall on you. That's what I wish. Worst Bond girl ever. If there's another Bond girl who is worse than her, I will genuinely like. I have to rip out my hair or something.
So with that glowing review, John, what do your final numbers look like, sir?
Yo, at first, right, I gave this movie a 6. I think it's out of 4. I think it's out of 4. And it might even be a 3. If we go back over this and there's another movie who's a 4, like I would give this a 3 because I really hate this movie. I didn't hate it.
4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure. I was just making sure you're settling on 4 and not 3 or 5.
I hated, like, I was actually on board for a little bit because I was happy to have Sean back, but it did come through that he was too old to be playing this part. I don't understand why they got rid of George. I genuinely don't understand why they got rid of George. They should have just brought him back, let him develop a little bit more as an actor.
So they didn't get rid of him. He chose to leave. They had him under contract, but his agent told him that Bond wasn't going because of how the times were changing and movies were changing. So they was like, Bond isn't gonna survive.
Is it that, or did he read the script and he was like, "Oh hell no, am I doing this movie?" Because if you told me that, I would be like, "Yeah, I get it. I completely get it."
I don't think so. Not if you watch anything else he's been in. It was like, yeah, it definitely wasn't that.
It was not. This is just such a bad movie. I don't know, guys. I kind of want to give it a 3. After we were talking, because I gave it a 6 because I mean, there were certain. Once I bought into this is gonna be a bad movie, it kind of was okay, and then it just got to that point where I was like, no, this isn't even okay. This is just awful.
It kept getting worse and worse and worse.
I think I want to give it a 3.
Okay.
What are you guys gonna give it? I'll decide after.
Oh, all right. I'll come back to you, John.
Yeah.
Chris?
I'm gonna have to agree with John there. I'm gonna have to give this a 3.
Oh, dang!
I'm not a fan of campy Bonds to begin with. I like my Bond movies to be a little more grounded, a little more serious. And so I didn't like all the random characters, like the 2 misters. I wasn't a huge fan of them. They were entertaining, yes, but I'm not a fan of them. Bambi and Thumper, that was another one where I was like, man, you gotta be kidding me, man. Like, what is going on in this movie?
The movie was just weird. It was just weird, but it didn't land as, oh, this is funny. Oh, this is cool. It was just weird.
Yeah.
I agree. And it never tied anyone in, because even with like Goldfinger, what it's supposed to be like she was a member of a circus. That's why she had all these
Yeah.
But they never explain anything. Like we Bond comes upon Bambi and Thumper and we're like, who and why?
Huh? Yeah. So weird.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of did explain their purpose. I mean, they were supposed to be the bodyguards of this billionaire guy, I don't know if you remember, but
yeah.
Wait, so those were his paid bodyguards or Blofeld's bodyguards?
It would be See, but that's exactly it.
So what, he's being held against his will with his own bodyguards? I don't understand.
Made no sense.
I think they were his bodyguards, right? I think.
I thought that they were supposed to be his bodyguards, right? But it definitely felt like if they were there keeping him captive.
Exactly.
So that made no sense. If they explained that they were his bodyguards and then they turn on him, cool. But they just set it up for something, and it just felt like something completely different. So stupid.
Yeah. I mean, don't quote me on that. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I thought that's how I remembered it. their purpose. But you guys are right, that might not really make any sense. So yeah, I had a problem with too many like random elements in this movie. The Blofeld's plot was just, I can't get on board with that laser diamond crap. I just can't get on board with that foolishness, man. And the villain was terrible in this, man. Like, I couldn't take that villain serious, not even in the slightest. Bond girls were just pointless. Bond himself, I mean, Sean Connery, I have to agree with you guys. I mean, he was a little bit underwhelming. I mean, it seemed like he was having fun more
He
so.
really did. He seemed enthusiastic in the role, but I was like,
Yeah.
it's weird. This is weird. This is too, yeah.
It felt like if he was faking it. It genuinely felt like if he was faking it. And I feel like if he was making fun of it at a certain point, like your enthusiasm,
agree.
I think that was genuinely him like, oh God, this is stupid. And he was just laughing at the actual movie at certain points. That's how I felt. But yeah, I mean, like, I would love to have a talk with him and be like, yo, would you ever watch that movie? And he's like, fuck no.
Fuck no. I mean, if I had,
he after this movie, he came back 10 years later and did Never Say Never Again, which is even worse.
How
Really?
could he go back after 10 years and be like, yeah, this is okay?
And the thing is, he has no excuses because he actually helped do that one. So it's like,
money.
yeah.
Oh, no.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've watched like a recap of it, and it's as bad, if not worse, than this for sure.
So overall, and then I mean, two things. I mean, if I had to like maybe two things about this movie, I did like the chase sequence through the Las Vegas Strip. I actually thought that was well done.
You did?
Okay.
Not stupid.
Even the scene where he goes through an alley like that, and then they fucked it up. And instead of fixing it, they said, "Oh, we'll just twist the shot."
Yeah, he goes into the alley on one side of the car and comes out on the other side of the car.
I think that is unforgivable. There's 7 movies in the biggest franchise of the 60s, and you fuck up something like that. It's a cool stunt, and they fuck it up just because the car came out the wrong side when they were reshooting the exit, and instead of shooting it again, they just try and fix it. Like, you couldn't spend a little more money to fix that?
No, they genuinely should have just blown up the scene and be like, oh, everybody died. Like, fuck it. Just, like, end the movie there.
I have to agree. Like, I did like the chase scenes, at least that scene to the extent, but it definitely, it went really south, at that scene you're talking about, Dave. So, overall, I've got to give this movie a 3. Weakest entry to date.
What about you, Dave?
So for me, just to go back to that scene, Chris, I did like the American sheriff. I thought he was fun. He's like, "Oh, Jimmy got him. Jimmy got him. Good job, Jimmy." And then his partner's like, "Sheriff." And I think that's a good precursor because there's the guy in the Roger Moore ones. I think it's Live and Let Die and the other ones, because those are set in America too, and they have some fun American cops that they make fun of. And that's where I was like, I hope this movie doesn't ruin the Roger Moores for me, because like I said, it's the same director that does the first 2 Roger Moores, and I remember liking those, so I hope I'll still like them. But this movie was crap.
Yeah.
The opening was crap. The Bond girl was crap. The villains were crap. The plot was crap. The movie was trashy. Bond is classy. Every Bond up to this point has been classy with a few missteps, I will admit. Like You Only Live Twice, them trying to turn Bond Japanese was really not good. So they've had missteps. For the most part, Bond has been a classy character. And in this movie, it's very trashy. I don't know if it's because it's set in Vegas or what, but it was just, in terms of locale, once again, it's in America. No offense to America, but boring setting for me. Like, just like in Goldfinger, I thought the setting was boring. And the special effects, again, They're 7 movies in. They've done amazing effects for the time. Up until this point, they've done better effects. In this movie, when the laser goes off, it is just ridiculous. Like,
I'll give it that. I'll
it is
give it that.
absolutely ridiculous. The special effects. They've had explosions. They had real explosions in From Russia with Love, the second Bond movie. This is the 7th one, and they use
CG explosions.
Terrible.
it's so bad. It is so bad. And then the climax action scene was just terrible. Like, there's no explanation for why Bond, like, they try and explain, set it up with the cassette, but then Bond fails at that, and then they just come in and blow shit up anyway, so why couldn't they have done that to begin with? There's no reason for it. There was no payoff. It was just crap. The whole movie was crap. I give it a rating of 5 out of 10 because, actually, you know what? I'm going to lower it to 4 because I'll be honest, the only reason I would watch this movie again is because I'm watching all the Bond movies again. So I'm going to lower it. So it's a 4 out of 10 for me.
Not gonna lie, I was actually gonna come in at 5 just like Dave, because I was saying everything about this movie was actually pretty mediocre and nothing was done well. It was just there. And that's my thing. They had the formula in the last movie. Like, it was perfect for
Yeah.
And to come in this one and just bomb horribly, like opening sequence, skipping incredibly serious plot points, a terrible villain. Even your campy scenes they just fell flat. Like, you didn't commit to a point where I'm like, ooh, that's hilarious. Ugh. So just, I'm even gonna go lower than Dave. Like, I'm gonna go with 3 as well. I'm definitely going with 3 as well. Bond.
Yeah.
Even you like nothing. There's no saving grace in any form of fashion. Like, no great one-liners. No, the Bond girl just fell flat. Bond girls, every single one fell flat.
Every single one. I love the disgust in your voice. You're just like, just that sigh was just like.
That's my thing. Like, once again,
Venom.
I'm a fan of the campy Bonds, but commit and then come out on the other end classy.
But this wasn't campy though. It wasn't just campy. It was just stupid. It was just pure stupid. So, like, originally I gave it a 6. You guys, like, reminded me about every single bad part. Yeah, I gotta give it a 3. Like, because it's a 6 would say it's okay. 5 is okay. It's right in the middle. It's okay. This isn't just bad. This is really bad.
Right.
I mean, like, I feel like if I could even go lower, but yeah, it's a 3 for me now.
Honestly, I think we all give it like, all right, this is Bond. We give it the reverence saying, all right, let me give you a 5. But in talking it out,
you can't even do that. You can't even do that. And you know what the scary part is for me is that I still think of one movie that I know I feel like if it's gonna be worse. So it's like, how bad is this gonna be?
Right. Right. Yeah, and I can't believe this movie made so much money back in the day. Like, I know people are excited to see Sean Connery back.
Sean Connery come back, exactly.
Yeah, right. And people like, I guess the absurdity of this movie and the fun, but I just can't understand that, man.
I think that's so important. Like, how well does a movie stand up 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? Because this is why people give us those crappy sequels, and they give us movies that are literally the same thing over again with a little bit different, these remakes and whatnot, because Hollywood can get away with it. They can still make money. And I get that they're doing that just to cash in, but if you're making a movie and you really care about what you're doing, you shouldn't do nonsense like this, because it totally disrespects everything that's come before. And it's so sad to me, because the one that came literally, it's not like if it was a slow decline. It actually, the last one was the best one. On Her Majesty's Secret Service was the best one. You Only Live Twice was going down. It's weird because it was like, it was going down because it wasn't as serious. It wasn't a serious film, but it was a funny film, and I actually really enjoyed that. In terms of entertainment value, it was really good. This movie was not entertaining. It was infuriating, and I shouldn't come out of a movie being angry at the material. I shouldn't be angry at the characters, and it was not even like in a profound way because I'm like, oh, what they did was wrong, and they're a bad guy or whatever. It was just because you're so stupid, because you make such little sense that I hate you. That's not how movies should. That's not how you should leave a movie. I wasn't entertained. I was just angry at the end. So yeah, this movie sucks. 3.
I think I'll give the one thing I would give, and this movie's Bond in general tends to follow the trends of the time it came out and show like what movies were like in that era, sort of, kind of. But they didn't know what they wanted to do with Bond. I think that shows like they had On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which we think was very good, but at the time it wasn't well received, so they try and do a 180 and try and recreate Goldfinger, which by all means they failed. But they were going more campy, which they continued with Roger Moore. But I hope when we rewatch it, is like they did it more successful.
Now you're speaking like that, Dave. I'm so terrified.
Than they did with this movie, because I remember liking Live and Let Die, which is the very next one. I mean, there's
I think that is my favorite Bond. I'm terrified that I'm not gonna like it.
There's ridiculous shit in that movie. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous, but it works because the movie knows it doesn't take itself too serious, and it's more fun, which is fine. Then this movie could have been fine if it framed itself like that, but it just, like John, you said it just didn't land. So the overall ranking based off y'all's ratings is 3.25. No surprise that it's the lowest. So we'll see if Diamonds gets beaten by another one. So On Her Majesty's Secret Service is at the top at 9.25. Dr. No, From Russia with Love, and Goldfinger are all at 8.25. Thunderball and You Only Live Twice are 7.5. So every movie up to this point, we've enjoyed. I would say they've been really good movies. I think anything that is an 8 is a very, very good movie. Diamonds Are Forever. If it wasn't a Bond movie, I wouldn't be rewatching it again.
I agree.
It's not even like a Mortal Kombat movie, which is just stupid, but it's fun stupid. Like, this is just a stupid movie. Oh man, it was, and
then there's just stupidity. Campy is okay, but then when you get to the point where the plot isn't making sense, the moves that the characters make just don't make any sense. You're introducing characters die, and you're like, well, how did that person end up dead? Like, that doesn't make where stuff doesn't make sense. Then
too many plot holes.
Awful movie. Yeah.
Too many plot holes.
And one other thing, I'm surprised we haven't brought this up yet, because I mean, these movies, and we've discussed it, the times they've done things that would not fly today, or that are kind of like you mentioned it with Dr. No, like how they treated Quirrell, Chris, and like just Bond's temperament to women. But this movie by far had the worst, most unforgivable scene that I've ever seen Bond do. Like, it was just ridiculous. Was the one in Vegas when they had the woman transforming, and she transformed into a gorilla and scared away the people. Like, that was super offensive. Like, I cannot believe that they got away with that. Yeah. And then the thing is, the very next Bond movie is a blaxploitation movie, because Live and Let Die took that. So it's like, I couldn't. When I saw that, I was like, I didn't remember that at all. I was just wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at that point I just did not take this movie seriously at all, and I wouldn't be surprised. I actually don't even remember that happening, so I'm pretty sure I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
See, when I saw that, I was like, that is super
Yeah.
offensive. That is fucked up.
I know. I was like, yeah. I said the same thing. I was like, wow.
You know what's? It's funny, right? Like I was saying it was offensive a little bit, but then I saw like the audience, and like I think there were like 2 other black children in there. I was like, uh. It
It
was still
actually
bad.
has me
It was still
worried
bad.
for Live and Let Die because, like, one thing I've noticed going through these movies is
Don't say it, Dave.
there hasn't been any black Bond girls yet. Really, Thumper is technically the first one. If you think about it, she's the first black Bond girl.
No, there was
Um,
that. Remember, like the one from Jamaica. She was from Jamaica
Yeah.
in the in the retreat, at the
Uh,
ski retreat. Like
So
way,
there have been
there were girls from
black
all over the
women.
world. Yeah.
There are black women on screen, but calling them Bond girls, like I don't know.
I don't
That's
know. I don't know.
yeah, it's just like this.
even
It
Thumper.
has me concerned because like I'm just like noticing it, and then one thing when we talk Bond villains, like the Bond villain in the next movie is the only to date 25 movies is the only black Bond villain was in Live and Let Die, and I never even noticed that. It's kind of crazy.
Well, we're
So
gonna
you,
watch it. We're gonna see. So
But I will say this. I was actually kind of impressed earlier a clock where like Spectre is quite the equal opportunity workplace, it seems. 'Cause there've been quite a few notable like Spectre agents who were female and were quite good at it. So I gave it the points. I definitely give it the points.
they're LBGT too.
LGBT inclusive too. Yeah.
oh yeah, that again weird, just very very odd. I that like
I was like, I was a little confused. I was like, I was confused actually at that with the misters. I was like, wait, are they in a relationship?
Right. And then they mentioned it like specifically. I'm like, oh, that flew at this time? Not bad.
no, but here's the thing about that, right? Is that if you look at it that way, right? Even the cross dressing thing, it's all about being seen. You're showing them in a bad light, because you didn't show them as like strong gay characters or whatever. You show them as weird as fuck guys, and you show Blofeld cross dressing, which is again just weird as fuck. So it's like negative reinforcement, and that it's problematic. It's whatever. It's really shitty. And again, so if you look at it that way,
I'm not looking at it. I'm looking at it as from Spectre's perspective, like
no.
clearly
I get where
equal
I get
opportunity.
I get where you're coming from that, but if you think about it in terms of like a representation thing, it's you say that they're equal opportunity in terms of Spectre, but if you look at it, it's actually the Bond movies taking minorities and showing them in a negative light. It's actually pretty fucked up. But I mean, like, whatever, it is what it is. You're just watching the movie. If you go down that rabbit hole, there's that bottom is just way too far. Like, it kind of sucks.
Agreed.
If you think about it. If you think about it too much, it really does suck. Anyhow, guys, that's it.
Yeah, we got to cancel on that note. Thanks for joining us for another moment of bonding time. The crew is signing out. And far, far away from Diamonds Are Forever.
Oh, Jesus. Cool.